Your brain thinks credit cards are free money. That's not an accident. When you tap or swipe, something happens in your head that doesn't happen when you hand over cash. You spend more, about 23% more. The card companies know this, and they've built an entire system around it. Credit card companies made $174 billion in interest income in 2024. That's just interest. Not fees, not transaction cuts, just the money they collect from people carrying balances. The average American now carries $6,380 in credit card debt. The average interest rate? 24.37%. That's the highest it's been since tracking began in 1994, and it's not slowing down. Their profit margins hit 14.3% in 2023, up from 9.6% a decade earlier. They're not just making money, they're making more money faster from the same customers. The whole thing is designed, not by accident, not through market forces alone, but through decades of data on how you think, how you feel, and how you fail. Let's start with the swipe itself. When you pay with a card, your brain doesn't register pain the way it does with cash. Neuroscience labs have tracked this. When people use credit cards, the striatum lights up. That's the part of your brain tied to reward and anticipation. It activates when the card appears, before you even know the price. Cash, on the other hand, triggers something closer to loss. You feel it leave. Cards separate the act of buying from the experience of paying. That gap is called decoupling, and it's the foundation of everything that follows. You walk out of a store with a bag in your hand and a receipt in your pocket. You got something. You gave up nothing you could see or touch. The bill arrives weeks later, and by then the emotional context is gone. You're not holding the shoes anymore. You're holding a number on a screen. The pleasure already happened. The pain is diluted, delayed, and disconnected. This isn't theory. People spend about 24% more when they use rewards cards compared to those without. Even debit cards, which pull money straight from your account, create the same effect. It's not about delayed payment. It's about the abstract nature of plastic itself. Your wallet doesn't get lighter. Your hand doesn't feel emptier. The transaction feels less real, so the cost feels less real. Credit card companies didn't stumble into this. They have billions of transactions worth of data. They know what works. And every feature, every structure, every number on your statement is shaped by that knowledge. Now let's talk about the minimum payment. In the 1970s, you had to pay about 5% of your balance each month. Today, it's often 1 to 3%, plus interest. That shift wasn't for your benefit. Smaller minimums keep you in debt longer, and longer debt means more profit. The minimum payment is designed to feel manageable. It's designed to make you feel responsible. You made a payment, you're handling it. But here's what's actually happening. Say you owe $5,000 at 23% APR. Your minimum payment might be $146. Of that, only about $50 goes toward what you actually owe. The rest, $96, is just interest. You're paying to stay in place. At that rate, it would take over 23 years to pay it off, and you'd pay nearly $9,000 in interest alone. You borrowed $5,000. You'll pay back almost $14,000. But the bill doesn't tell you that. It tells you the minimum due, and that number is big and bold and easy to find. The full balance is there too, but your eye goes to the smaller number first. That's called anchoring. Studies show that when the minimum payment is hidden or less prominent, people pay 70% more. When it's front and center, your brain latches onto it. You think, that's what I need to pay. Not because you decided that, because the design decided it for you. And it feels good to pay it. Your brain releases a small hit of dopamine when you complete a task. Paying the minimum feels like progress. You checked a box. You met an obligation. The problem is, you didn't actually make progress. With interest rates hovering near 20% or higher, most of that payment went nowhere. Financially, you're on a treadmill. Psychologically, you're moving forward. That gap is the trap. There's another layer. You tell yourself you'll pay more next month. You'll catch up when things settle down, when the bonus comes, when you're less busy. Behavioral research shows we treat our future selves like different people. Someone more disciplined, someone with more money. That makes it easy to push real action into a future that never actually arrives. Month after month, the balance grows quietly in the background. Let's put real numbers to it. A $5,000 balance at 21% APR with a 2% minimum payment. Your first payment is $100. $87.50 goes to interest. $12.50 goes to the actual debt. If you keep that up, it'll take 55 years to pay off. You'll pay over $22,000 in interest. That's more than 4 times what you borrowed. That's not a bug in the system. That's the feature. Now let's talk about rewards. You open a card that offers 2% cash back. That sounds like free money. You're earning while you spend. But here's the reframe happening in your brain. Spending becomes earning. You're not losing money on a purchase, you're collecting points. Research shows people with rewards cards spend 24% more than people without them. To earn $100 in rewards, you need to spend $5,000. If you're carrying a balance at 23% interest, you could be paying over $1,000 in interest charges during that same period. You earned $100. You paid $1,000. That's not a reward. That's a loss with better branding. The card issuer knows this. Rewards programs are funded by the interest payments of people who carry balances. It's a wealth transfer. People in debt subsidize perks for people who pay in full. And the system makes you feel smart for participating. Then there are the fees. Late payment fees are capped by regulation, but they still add up fast. Miss a payment, and you're hit with a fee that gets added to your balance. That balance now accrues more interest. One missed payment can also kill a promotional rate, spiking your interest from 0 to 24% overnight. Annual fees on premium cards create another stream. You pay a fee to access rewards you might never fully use, and if you carry a balance, those rewards cost you more than they're worth. Every time you swipe, the merchant pays a processing fee. A percentage of that goes to the card issuer. It's called interchange, and it's usually 1 to 3% of the transaction. You don't see it, but it's baked into the price of almost everything you buy. The 10 biggest credit card issuers control 83% of the market. That concentration gives them power to keep fees high and terms favorable to themselves. The entire banking industry pulled in $174 billion in credit card interest income in 2024. Profit margins for major issuers hit 14.3% in 2023, up from 9.6% a decade earlier. They've added $25 billion in extra interest over the past 10 years just by raising the margin between what they pay to borrow money and what they charge you. The average cardholder with a $5,300 balance paid an extra $250 in 2023 because of that increase alone. Interest rates are now the highest they've been since the Federal Reserve started tracking the data in 1994. The average rate hit 24.37% in 2025. None of this is accidental. It's behavior design at scale. When you swipe a card, your brain doesn't process it the same way it processes handing over cash. Neuroscience studies show that paying with a card activates the reward centers in your brain, the same areas tied to anticipation and pleasure. Paying with cash activates areas linked to loss and pain. The pain of payment is real, and credit cards are engineered to reduce it. You don't feel the sting. You don't see your wallet get lighter. The purchase is abstract. The bill comes later, and by then, the emotional connection to what you bought is gone. Even debit cards trigger the same effect, which tells you it's not just about delayed payment. It's about the absence of physical exchange. The act of swiping or tapping is emotionally neutral. Research shows that just seeing a credit card logo makes people willing to pay more, even when they're using cash. The card has become a cue. It primes your brain to spend. Over time, repeated use conditions you. You associate the card with convenience, rewards, and freedom. You stop thinking about the cost. You think about what you're getting. That's not a side effect. That's the foundation of the business model. You start your financial life with no data, no strategy, no system. Credit card companies start with decades of research and billions of transactions. They know what works. They know what you'll do before you do. And every feature, from the minimum payment to the rewards program to the way your bill is laid out, is designed around that knowledge. The average American now carries $6,380 in credit card debt. For many, that number is growing, not shrinking. The system isn't built to help you pay it off. It's built to keep you in it, paying interest month after month, year after year. The house always wins, not because you're bad with money, but because the game is designed that way. You're not fighting your own discipline. You're fighting a machine built to outlast you.